YouTube, this is Vargas, recording live from the Vargas Vault, coming at you with another Tales from the Vargas Vault. And I'm really trying to take a break from buying stuff. My daughter just started school, so we have to pay that, and there's a lot of expenses because we've bought a house, and we're starting to we need to start buying things that we still need to move into that new house. So eventually you'll see me record in Vargas Vault from the Vargas Vault version 3.0. So there's a lot of expenses coming my way. So I am trying to take a break from buying stuff, and you'll see. I still have a couple more videos that I need to record from stuff that I eventually will talk about once I have enough to talk about. But I've been buying really compared to what I usually buy, I'm buying way less than I used to. So I am trying to take a break from adding more stuff to the vaults until we clear up everything that we need to clear up. But recently, from Movie Freak Bazaar, he's a Facebook seller, and he also has a physical stand. But during his Facebook thing, he posts, he sells DVDs and CDs every week. And this week he had, and I was able to get the very last Roger Moore James Bond movie that I needed. And it's a movie that I've been looking and hunting for a good while. I've never seen it before until Movie Freak Bazaar showcased it, and I was able to nab it. Because the way that whole thing works is that he has a online catalog, and he uploads it one day of the week, and then if you're the first person to comment on that, it's yours, and then you just go pick it up at his physical store. So I was finally able to get Octopussy. I've been trying to complete a James Bond collection, and I finally got Octopussy, so I finally have an almost complete collection. I'm only missing 3 James Bond movies, and I'll have a complete set. And I was thinking, well, why don't you wait until you have the complete set to talk about it, make a Tales from the Vargas Vault video, but I don't know when that's going to happen. One of those movies I've never seen, much like Octopussy. I've never seen that movie. The other one's not that hard to find. Movie Freak Bazaar has actually had it before. And the last one's the more recent one, so I know I can get that one eventually. But I want to share with you guys, in this Tales from the Vargas Vault, the James Bond collection. I have a very good James Bond collection now, since I've gotten Octopussy, which is a movie that I've been hunting for a good while, like I said. So, yeah, I'm sharing my James Bond collection. I hope you guys enjoy. So let's start with the very first James Bond movie, the movie that introduced the character to the message. He already existed. I do need to clarify. He already existed because he's the movies are based from a book series written by Ian Fleming, and who talks about the adventures of James Bond as a secret agent, starting with I think Casino Royale was the first James Bond book, and I've read that one. It's pretty cool. But I don't actually own any of the James Bond books. But I do the movies. I do like the movies, even though he's gone through a lot of different changes and a lot of criticism. I remember a lot of people criticizing James Bond as a character because he's an agent that kills people, but he also for most of his movie life, James Bond is a womanizer and just sleeps around with whoever allows himself to be slept with James Bond. But it's escapism. It's something that, same thing with reading a book or playing a video game. You watch a movie to follow a character and escape your normal life to see this over-the-top thing that might not really happen in real life. But that's the point, you don't go to the movies to see, at least I don't go to the movies to see like slice-of-life movies. I want to see over-the-top things or laugh or something, not just, if I want a slice of life, I could watch the news or, just look at myself in the mirror. So I go for escapism. And James Bond's a really good escapist for that. It's the secret agent that saves the world, meets gorgeous women, gets to sleep with gorgeous women, uses incredible gadgets. And that's another thing. It's very interesting to see James Bond evolve with his gadgets. I remember in one of the earlier James Bond movies, the most advanced gadget was a briefcase that you push a button and a little knife comes out. And I'm like, wow, that's like the best thing ever. And as the character and the movies have come out, the technology has just gotten really, really advanced, like a remote control car or a pen that explodes when you click it, or a watch that does a million things. So it's very interesting to go back and watch the older James Bond movies and compare them to the new ones. Even though the newer Daniel Craig movies are kind of like a middle. They don't rely too much on high tech. It's more like the espionage and action thing. So it's interesting to see how James Bond has evolved throughout the years. But this is the very first James Bond movie starring Sean Connery. A lot of people say Sean Connery is the best James Bond. I have nothing against Sean Connery, but he's not my favorite James Bond. We'll get to him. But this is the very first James Bond movie. Dr. No introduced, of course, the world, the cinematic world to 007, the womanizing super spy, trying to save the world with limited gadgets. And of course, this has the iconic scene. I don't know her name. I've never been good with names. Oh, it says right there, Ursula Andress, coming out from the beach in a white swimsuit. She's right there in the cover. And iconic scene that was redone actually in another James Bond movie. But one of my favorite Sean Connery movies is From Russia with Love. Now, again, I'm not very good with names, but I'm 50% sure it's in this one. One of the things that that sets out from the Bond girls, other than the fact that they're freaking gorgeous, are the names. At least in the earlier James Bond movies, the names were very interesting, and I'm 50% sure it's in this one that the Bond girl because you have two Bond girls. You have the femme fatale, and then you have the one that actually ends up helping Bond. But there's a femme fatale name that to this day I still remember, and I'm again 50% sure it's this one. It's Pussy Galore, and that's a very interesting name. I'm 50% sure it's in this one. It's been a while since I've seen the James Bond movies. I want to sit down and watch this one because I got it recently, but I'm pretty sure it's Pussy Galore, and she was the femme fatale, and I'm pretty sure it's her. Gorgeous woman. Oh, her and another person that I'm gonna name once I get to her are like my two favorite James Bond girls. They tie for number one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Pussy Galore right there. Gorgeous James Bond girl. Then we have another favorite. From Russia with Love is my favorite Sean Connery James Bond movie. Second place is Goldfinger. Goldfinger is really cool. This one has, of course, the iconic scene where James Bond is tied to a table, and then there's this laser coming at him, and James Bond's like, "Do you expect me to talk?" And the villain's like, "No, I expect you to die." Or maybe that was The Simpsons. It's been parodied in The Simpsons. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. But I'm not sure if this one is the one with Pussy Galore. I'm pretty sure it's From Russia with Love, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm gonna kick myself because I'm gonna talk about something else that talks about that topic, and I'm drawing a blank, as you do. The next one, the other James Bond movie is Thunderball. Not my favorite James Bond movie from Sean Connery. It has a really hot chick in there. Gorgeous. That's the thing about the James Bond movies. They cast the most gorgeous women to be part of them. And again, it plays into that escapism. But Thunderball, not bad, but not good. Not as good as From Russia with Love or Goldfinger. Then Sean Connery did his last movie. Well, he said it was going to be his last movie. You'll Only Live Twice. This one the more memorable thing is that this one has Donald Pleasence as the bad guy. Donald Pleasence, of course, most famous from a lot of things, but most famous from Halloween. So he had James Bond going up against Donald Pleasence. This one, Donald Pleasence is the one that saves it. And I'm not sure which one of these Sean Connery movies had Odd Job. But Odd Job is this henchman that's very popular too, but I don't remember where he first popped up. Then Sean Connery took a break, so George Lazenby came into the James Bond role in Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is a peculiar James Bond movie because whereas James Bond, sleeps with the femme fatale and then ends up with the Bond girl and sleeps with her at the end, which is a theme in most of the Bond's movie. In this one, he marries the Bond girl. So James Bond actually goes ahead and marries the Bond girl. It doesn't end well, but it's interesting because of that, because, James Bond actually... It's never referenced ever again, though. And that's the thing, there's no real continuation, except in the Sean Connery ones. They're kind of like Spectre is this evil organization that James Bond is trying to take down, but there's no really recurring characters except Bond, Moneypenny, and M, and Q, who is the one that builds all his secret gadgets. But there were Spectre, but nothing really tied up after this one. They don't reference this thing at all, so it's an anomaly in that case. Then Sean Connery came for another go at James Bond, saying that this is going to be his last James Bond movie, with Diamonds Are Forever. Also not bad, not my favorite. My favorite, again, like I mentioned, From Russia with Love and Goldfinger are my favorite Sean Connery ones. But this one's pretty good. Pretty good outing. Then Sean Connery did one more James Bond movie, and that's the one I'm missing. One of the three I'm missing, and that's Never Say Never Again. And the title of that is in reference to Sean Connery said that after Diamonds Are Forever, I'm out. I'm not gonna do no more James Bond. I'm out. And they came with him with a legend goes. They came with him with a buttload of money, and he's like, okay, I'll do another James Bond movie. So during the 80s, they released Never Say Never Again, and another James Bond movie with my second favorite James Bond actor, surpassing Sean Connery. A lot of people say Sean Connery's the best James Bond, and he had the suave, and he's a good James Bond. But I grew up watching Roger Moore. Roger Moore is the James Bond that was active when I was growing up. So, and I watched a lot of his movies because they would rerun them, and then we would rent them from the video store, and the movies available were usually Roger Moore. So Roger Moore is my James Bond, and this is his first go as 007 in Live and Let Die. I'm thinking of another song. But this one you do notice a sharp turn. That's what the thing that gets more criticized about this one is that his Roger Moore's tenure as James Bond is that it's a lot more campy, it's a lot more over the top, and yeah, it has it. But that's maybe it's me. That's the kind of thing I like. I like my campy, over the top movies. This one, of course, does have that. James Bond is set in a trap where he's left in an alligator farm, and he's like, "Goodbye, Mr. Bond. You're going to be eaten by alligators." And Bond's like, "Nuts to this," and he goes skipping through the alligators like a cartoon character. It's ridiculous, but that's the thing I like about these movies. Then you have The Man with the Golden Gun, starring Dracula himself, Christopher Lee as the bad guy, and the titular Man with the Golden Gun. This one is a good movie. I really, really like this one. Fun movie. One of my favorites. Then you have The Spy Who Loved Me, which introduced my favorite henchman from the James Bond movies, Jaws, who was this giant guy, and his gimmick was that he had metal teeth, so he could bite things like Jaws the shark. Always remember Jaws. He's my favorite henchman for a reason. Just something about that image of this big ass guy with metal teeth at chomping things. It's really, really ridiculous, but also cool. And of course, this has, like in the cover, the submarine car. Then you have Moonraker with a return from Jaws. This one, James Bond goes to the moon, because that's what you do. This one's a little over the top, I will admit that, but it's still fun. Then you have For Your Eyes Only. Some glare there, because I keep them in the bag. I don't remember that one that well, but the one I do remember, and my favorite Roger Moore movie, had gorgeous women, and the women were more proactive in this one. Usually James Bond is the guy that saves them, but in this one, the titular Octopussy, right here, that's her, has this island, like this Amazon island full of henchwomen that she controls. So when James Bond's fighting the bad guy, Octopus, he gets her Amazon women to help him out, and you have this big battle royale. And this one, James Bond is a little bit more aggressive in this one when he's doing Octopussy. But I don't know, there's just something about this movie that I really like. That my favorite Roger Moore movie, followed by The Man with the Golden Gun. But I just really liked it, and this movie, I've been hunting for this movie for years and years, because it's my favorite Roger Moore movie, and I finally got it, and I'm super happy to have it in the collection. And his last movie, Roger Moore's last movie, is A View to a Kill, starring Grace Jones, who you might remember from Conan, the second Conan, and the bad guy in this one is Christopher Walken. So you got that going for it. Really cool. This movie gets bashed a lot because by this point Roger Moore was old, and he mentioned this in an interview. Like, he didn't want to do it because he was old. He felt he was too old to play Bond one more time, because the Bond girl that they had for him was way younger. But it's still a good movie. I still like it. It has Christopher Walken. You can't go wrong with Christopher Walken. After Roger Moore finally left from that one, Timothy Dalton came into James Bond, and he only did 2 movies. One of which I'm missing. I'm missing The Living Daylights. That's the one I don't have from him. I've seen it, but I haven't gotten around to buying it, unfortunately. And the last time Movie Freak Bazaar had it, they beat me to it. So if I do come across it, I will buy it because I need it for the collection. But it's not my favorite movie. And I don't know, something about Timothy Dalton. He's a cool guy. I've seen him. He was great in The Rocketeer, another movie I'm missing. He was great as the bad guy in that one. He was great in Hot Fuzz. He delivered his line well. And he's not a bad Bond, but he's not my favorite Bond. But the one I do have from him is License to Kill. This one's good. I like this one. Because James Bond goes rogue, trying to seek revenge. They revoke him as a secret agent, take away his license to kill and his name. But he says, like, nuts to that, I'm going for revenge, and he does. So more realistic, because it doesn't have his gadgets. He's no longer sanctioned as a secret agent who has to rely on his wits, which is something that was done again in the Daniel Craig movies, but this one was pretty good. Better than The Living Daylights, I would think. Even though The Living Daylights had a great henchman death. There's if I remember correctly, because I again, sometimes the movies just merge together. Benicio del Toro was the bad guy in that one, and he was working for this cocaine guy, and he gets chopped up in the cocaine cutting machine, and I remember that one was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it's The Living Daylights. Then, Timothy Dalton wasn't well received, so Pierce Brosnan was doing Remington Steele. And then they came to him with, hey, you want to be James Bond? I was like, hell yeah, I want to be James Bond. I wanted to be James Bond before you got Timothy Dalton. And they gave him the role, and he nailed it. My favorite James Bond. Since before that, Roger Moore was my James Bond. but Pierce Brosnan just nailed it. He nailed the character. He was suave. He was charismatic. Same way he was in Remington Steele, and he nailed it as James Bond in his first movie, GoldenEye. GoldenEye was awesome. He was awesome, and of course this spawned the legendary N64 game with the same name, and just great movie. I really liked this. Of course, had Sean Bean, had I don't remember her name. She was in the X-Men movies as Jean Grey. This chick was also gorgeous. Really good movie. I really like this one a lot. My favorite, and a lot of people's favorite from Pierce Brosnan. And that did gangbusters, did a lot of bangs, so they were like, we're going to get you for another movie, and they did with Tomorrow Never Dies. Tomorrow Never Dies, second movie that he starred in, and I forget her name, but the femme fatale was Terry Hatcher she was last seen in that show I didn't watch, Desperate Housewives. I remember her from Lewis and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and she did an episode of Seinfeld that was really funny. So she was the femme fatale, and then you had the Bond girl that kicked ass. I forget her name. My goodness, how could I forget her name? Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh was in this. I can't believe I forgot Michelle Yeoh. She was in Super Cop. God damn it. But she did great. She was a no-nonsense Bond girl. She kicked ass, as much ass as James Bond. Really good movie. Welcome addition to the series. And of course, Terry Hatcher was gorgeous in this movie as well. But she gets killed later on. So, good movie. Then you have The World Is Not Enough. I don't know her name, but the villainess in this one she was like French. I want to say French. And she had this exotic aura around her. The femme fatale in this one was really good. The Bond girl wasn't that good. Who was the Bond girl in this one? Denise Richards was the Bond girl in this one. And she was supposedly... Denise Richards was playing a nuclear scientist that knew how to... she was an expert in nuclear science. And that was bizarre. I mean, they cast her because she was good looking, but... No, you got cast people that will sell, that they actually know about, or they look like they know about nuclear stuff. And I didn't buy that she was a nuclear expert, but the femme fatale was really good looking, and bad guy was really cool. Good movie, another good movie. I liked it, even though the ridiculousness of Denise Richards as a nuclear scientist was ridiculous. Then you had the last Pierce Brosnan movie, Die Another Day. It's a shame that Pierce Brosnan came so late into the Bond series, because by this one he was racking up in age. You can, much like Roger Moore in A View to Kill, Pierce Brosnan looked old in this movie. But this one paid homage to a lot of the James Bond movies from the past. Good movie, good action, really fun movie. This is the 2-disc set. Unfortunately, this is the full screen version, and that sucks. I'm trying to get the widescreen version. But a good movie, a fun movie, good villains. Definitely a good movie. But they were playing with the idea of Pierce Brosnan coming back for another one. He said he wasn't interested. Another thing I want to point out, they digitally modified his face. It looks weird. Has that kind of uncanny valley thing because they digitally erased some of his wrinkles. You can tell Pierce Brosnan was old in this one, much like Roger Moore in A View to Kill. But he passed, or I don't remember. Urban legend says that he got fired. He was waiting a callback that never came. Others, of course, said that, much like Roger Moore, said, I'm too old for the character. Point is that they did an audition, and Daniel Craig came out as the new James Bond. And I have nothing against Daniel Craig. He does a good job as James Bond. He's no Pierce Brosnan. He's not. I don't feel he's suave. He's not. He's not Roger Moore. He's kind of like a modernized Sean Connery. That's the best comparison I can give, because he's not suave. he kind of, but he kind of is like Sean Connery, and he's not. I don't think he's that good looking, and I know a lot of people think the same way. You think Daniel Craig, you don't think James Bond, but props to him because these movies are fun. These movies are fun movies. This one's good. It has great action, parkour. This actually, story-wise, this would be the first James Bond movie because Casino Royale is the first James Bond book that came out. But and this is kind of like a reboot, but not really a reboot because M is still in. M is the female director that was introduced in the Pierce Brosnan series. So, but it's kind of like a reboot because this is 007's first mission after earning the 007 mark. But M is still there, so it's like this weird thing that's going on. Don't try to understand the timeline. Like I said, it doesn't follow any sort of timeline. But this one was really good and had Eva Green as the Bond girl. And there's something about Eva Green, something very, very interesting about her. She's got these eyes that are really, really interesting. But this one was a really fun. I don't remember if it's made by the same director that did GoldenEye or the producer, something. But it also has Hannibal as the bad guy. But if you like poker or card games, this will be your movie because the whole plot revolves around Bond trying to foil a blackjack poker tournament because the bad guy's trying to get funds for an evil plot, and James Bond has to stop him. So it's not as global as some of the other movies, but it's still very suspenseful and yeah, really good, really good movie. Then you have a dud movie, not my favorite movie. It's not that good, but Quantum of Solace. It's just not that good. Very, very forgettable movie. It does continue elements because the James Bond is able to foil the evil funding of the organization in the last movie, Casino Royale, and it kind of follows elements in this one. But I didn't much care for this one. Not that cool. However, they redeemed themselves with Skyfall. Skyfall was great. I really liked Skyfall. Great movie. A lot of fun. The shootout at the end was cool. The bad guy, Javier Bardem, was a good bad guy in this one. Kind of dropped some of the elements that were left hanging from Quantum of Solace, which they picked up in the other movie that I'm missing. The last movie, the most recent movie, Spectre. I am missing Spectre. I haven't gotten around to buying it. I need to buy it to complete the set from Daniel Craig, but yeah, I'm missing that one. And I didn't get to see it in the theater, so I need to get it so I can watch it. But the other thing I haven't mentioned is that the intros for these James Bond movies are great. They're really great. From Skyfall, Adele won an Oscar for this one. And I don't remember who did the one for Spectre, but he won an Oscar too for Best Movie Song. And yeah, the intros are really cool. The other one I remember a lot is Garbage did The World Is Not Enough. That one, I also love that one. That song was really kick-ass. So just the intros, they get big name people and big name talent to sing and write those songs, and then they introduce them in a very psychedelic intro to the movie. So that in itself is memorable. I would like them to release, maybe it exists and I don't know about it, for them to release like a CD of all the James Bond movie songs. And the last one I want to share is a documentary, a limited edition DVD documentary, Bond Girls Are Forever. This is a documentary talking about all the different femme fatale and Bond girls that have been part of the Bond franchise. And of course, you have everyone here, everyone that cared to give an interview anyway. They didn't talk to everyone, but it goes chronologically from the first Bond girl to the one that was in. This one came out in 2003, so that might have been Die Another Day or Casino Royale. Let's see, 2006. Yeah. So when Die Another Day came out, the newest Bond girl was Halle Berry. So it's up to Halle Berry. But this was a very good documentary. It talked about how the different Bond girls have evolved during the James Bond, from the Bond girls from damsels in distress to kick-ass women like Michelle Yeoh and Halle Berry, also kicked ass, and everyone else, and of course the femme fatales, which I'm gonna be honest, I always liked the femme fatales better. They were, I don't know, just something about, I don't want to say evil women, but you always tend to like the dark side. At least I do. What's that say about me that I like the dark side of things? But anyway, but really, really good documentary. I think you might also be able to get it. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, okay. So this came as a limited edition documentary, but if you're able to get the Blu-ray or the 2-disc DVD, I don't know if it comes in the DVD, but the Blu-ray of Casino Royale, it also has documentary as a bonus feature. So you can get it in this, or you can get the disc like this. So I technically have it doubled, but I like owning things separate. So really happy to have this. And yeah, I'm just missing Never Say Never Again, the last Sean Connery James Bond movie. I am missing The Living Daylights, the Timothy Dalton James Bond movie with Benicio del Toro. And I am missing Spectre, the latest James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, and the guy from Inglourious Basterds as the villain Blofeld. But yeah, just good movie series. It's very, very interesting to see it evolve through the years. It's gone through like really low budget spy things. It's gone through campiness. It's gone through over-the-top action, like with Pierce Brosnan. And it's gotten back to like action with Daniel Craig. And the Bond girls, they always pick gorgeous women for the Bond girls. And they've also evolved. They're, again, no longer damsels in distress. They kick ass when they need to. Very, very fun. If you like 60s movies, 70s movies, 80s movies, 90s movies, they really do stand out in the time period that they released. It's really interesting to see how these movies have evolved, and I invite you to watch the James Bond movies if you have a chance. I know a lot of people that never got into James Bond, and that's okay. I mean, it's not for everyone. A lot of people might not enjoy them, but give at least the standouts a try. Like Skyfall. Skyfall, great James Bond movie. It doesn't have a lot of gadgets. It doesn't have this like big global threat thing. It's a good, well-paced movie. I really like that one a lot. GoldenEye, legendary GoldenEye, which produced the legendary N64 game. Great movie, lots of fun. Octopussy, my personal favorite. Not for everyone, I will admit, but I love the hell out of Octopussy. And you have The Man with the Golden Gun, and Goldfinger, and Russia with Love. These would be my introductory recommendations for James Bond. Of course, a lot of people have their favorites. Please, if you have a different favorite, leave it in the comment. I would love to, chat about James Bond and the different movies. Maybe I messed up in something, as I do, because my memory is not the best. I've always said that. And I watch so many movies that eventually they start to get mixed up in my brain. But these are the ones that I would recommend as an introduction to James Bond. And then if you like him, then watch the other ones. Yes, there are ones that are kind of duds, and there are ones that stand out. My favorites might differ from your favorite. It's totally possible. You might hate the movies that I recommended for you to watch, and you might end up loving Timothy Dalton and James Bond. Perfectly fair. He's not my favorite James Bond, or you might think that George Lazenby is the best James Bond ever. Totally fair. That's a good thing about this world we live in. You can have your thoughts, your opinions, And you know, as long as you respect other people, they'll respect your opinions, and then civilized talk, everyone happy. But I just wanted to take a not so quick look, because these Tales from the Vargas Vault video tend to go long, but a look at James Bond, Agent 007, throughout the years, and part of the collection that I have. I'm still missing 3, but I'll keep you updated once I have acquired them and have a complete collection. So, yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and hear me talk for this long. Until I see you all again, this was Vargas signing off from the Vargas Vault, thanking you, and goodbye.